But let's address this big story coming in from the telecom space. Vodafone Idea is in focus. The government is perhaps not looking at considering any further relief for the company when it comes to its AGR dues. Ashmit is joining in with more details. Ashmit, morning. Tell us.
Well, clearly, the government, Telecom Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia, in the statements that he's given, he's clarified that, look, the Supreme Court has ruled on the matter. That is the end of it, that there's nothing on his table that will allow him to go ahead and to grant AGR relief. And mind you, this is consistent with what CNBC-TV18 has been reporting. CNBC-TV18 was the first to report where a submission had gone from Vodafone Idea to the Department of Telecom asking for some relief, asking for a waiver of the interest and penalty dues of the AGR. However, at the time itself, in response to the letter, DOT had clarified that, look, in light of the Supreme Court judgment, our hands are tied. We cannot consider this relief. Subsequently, we had Vodafone Idea moving the Supreme Court. And there again, for a second time in tow, the DOT again, by way of the Solicitor General, clarified once again that our view is clear, that the Supreme Court judgment makes the position clear. There is no room that is available for grant of relief. And on the basis of that, we had understood that the Apex Court went ahead. It had dismissed the application altogether for grant of waiver. It had clarified that, look, it is shocking that this petition is being filed despite the fact that the Supreme Court has already given the AGR judgment, that this petition is entirely misconceived. And on the back of that, even that petition being dismissed. So that dismissal of that petition by Vodafone Idea now being cited by the Telecom Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia, where he's clarifying that, look, the Supreme Court has had the final word. Our hands are tied. No room available, nothing on my table to grant any further AGR relief on the waiver front to Vodafone Idea.
Okay, all right. So the situation seems to be getting a bit dire here. Ashmit, thanks very much for getting us the context over there. Let's go across to Reema as well. Reema, morning. So what are brokerages saying now?
You know, before that, I just want to highlight that there is a potential block deal one should watch out for today. What we've picked up is that Ericsson, which approximately has a 0.9% stake in Vodafone Idea, is likely to sell down. If you remember, Ericsson is one of the vendors to Vodafone Idea, and they had acquired the stake in June of 2024 when Vodafone Idea had issued shares to Ericsson in lieu of their outstanding dues. So this is a potential. This is not that we've got the sheet from the bankers, but you should watch out for a potential block deal. Now coming to the brokerages, well, it's a mixed bag. Some of them still hold out faith that some relief is coming in. So let me run you through. Ambit say we remain buyers on hopes of a supportive government stance, but investors looking for lower risk upside exposure to India's telecom tariff resets should consider owning Bharti and Industar. So basically, Ambit has a buy, but they're saying it's a risky bet. So if you want risk-adjusted return, then you've got better alternatives. IFL, on the other hand, has a reduced call. Their target price has been 4% and unchanged even after the recent developments. On the flip side, Citi has been aggressive on Vodafone Idea, but they've brought down their target price to 10 rupees. CLSA outperformed, target price 8 rupees. So some investors, sell-side analysts, are still holding out faith of some sort of a relief coming through on Vodafone Idea.
Okay, all right. Thanks very much for that, Reema. Let's actually discuss this further. We've got Prakash Diwan joining in. Prakash, morning. So from what it appears, the court said nothing's happening. They've struck down and thrown out multiple pleas that have been filed. And now the minister in this interview seems to be indicating that the government's hands are also pretty much tied and there doesn't seem to be any relief. And the government's made this point that they're already owning 49% equity in the company. They're not looking to convert more dues to take that stake above 49%. And it ties me back to what, Vodafone Idea had said. They said that it's pretty much the end of the road if there's no further relief coming in. How do you view the current developments?
So it is definitely getting a bit dire, as you rightly said. The clouds are getting darker. But, I go back to the prime objective that the government put equity for in the first place. And that was to let Vodafone run along as a third player in this space. And now, of course, it's 3+1 because of BSNL. So at some point, the government also, of course, the government, I understand, is restrained from converting further equity because then they would end up owning a company in a majority stake, which is not what they would want as a fiduciary responsibility as well. So I understand that, and the relief could probably will have to be worked out in some other creative way, not just a conversion to equity. The big problem that Vodafone is trying to find solution, Survey, is on the debt side. The banks are not willing to give any kind of support on the debt side, and that's what's hampering any kind of a restructuring that they would want to kind of go ahead with. But let's see, there could still be some hope, and I do agree there could be some way where it can get salvaged to continue serving that objective of being that third player in a market with otherwise. And remember, the minister also mentioned that he's more concerned with the service quality of the customers rather than what a company does to survive, and that's the job of the company management. So, which is rightly put. So we'll wait for further developments.
Okay, all right. Prakash, so just to get this clear, you won't be a buyer on Vodafone Idea. Yesterday I was at the BOFA conference. I spoke to Sachin Salgaonkar, and he was giving me rationale that he believes this is not going to be a duopoly market. It'll be a three-player market. So you're saying there is that hope out there, but you rather not invest and you stick to the core telecom players. Is that correct?
That's right, Nigel. So while we understand that Vodafone could continue to be a respectable third player rather than being just a marginal third player, we'll have to wait for it to kind of get out of this existential crisis. And then there'll be enough opportunity for you to invest if things look up for them. But at this point, it's a bit of a very high risk, high reward kind of a thing, very high beta kind of a thing.
Okay. For Vodafone Idea, Prakash, I don't know. Even if someone tries to be creative and think about any other final solutions coming in, not quite sure whether raising additional debt, and raising debt has been a problem in any case, or getting any other equity. Does anything come to mind? Of course, this will only unravel in the next couple of days. We don't have all the answers here this morning. So I'm just, it's a bit of an unfair question, but if you could guess, what lies ahead?
Again, let's go back to history and see what happened when a similar situation of an impasse was reached. And, promoters were unwilling to put in more money, and, things looked very dodgy for it to kind of make it. But then eventually some money came through. Then you had that massive rights issue, the FPO and all of those. So, there will always be some way out, which seems difficult right now. And people look for the softer options, easier options, and that's being ruled out. And which is fair. I think in all fairness, converting AGR dues just for more equity by the government doesn't kind of solve the problem. They will need to restructure themselves in some way which is more definitive for a turnaround perspective. So let's wait. I'm sure there'll be something that comes up.
Okay, very quickly, Prakash, any view on Indus Towers? That's the one that normally moves when there is good news for Vodafone Idea. This makes things a little bit uncertain. And again, going back to the interview I had yesterday, the BOFA analyst, Sachin Salgaonkar, was giving me a rationale that why he believes actually the Indian players, the tower players, should actually be rightfully trading at a discount in comparison to global peers. We often argue that there is very good, potential because of the valuation discount. But your view on Indus Towers with this sort of news coming in for Vodafone Idea?
No, I think Indus, as a key player in the telecom infra space, and especially with so much of focus on digitization and so much of fiberization, which is currently underway, will have enough business to grow, Nigel. I agree there is no reason for any kind of a panic on Indus just because of Vodafone's health getting to be circumspect. But there's enough business for them to kind of grow. And remember, we need more than 13 lakh towers. The number of towers in India is probably just 60% of that. So there's still a long way to go. And with the way the BSNL juggernaut is now rolling, you'll probably have enough expansion opportunities. Maybe not for Indus, but some of the other smaller players in that space. But I wouldn't really get worried about Indus and correlate it with the Vodafone situation.
Okay, all right. Prakash, thanks very much for joining in with the quick update on what you think of the development. The development being that it seems the government has also said that it has nothing fresh on its table with respect to offering any other relief to Vodafone Idea, and it's not looking to increase its stake beyond 49%. That's something it's said in the past as well.